Hello, today I'm going to be making a Christmas easel card with a drawer underneath. I'm going to be using Santa and Snowman, which give a lovely Christmassy feel. This is printed from the Printable craft shop from Crafting4Good. So if you want to copy what I'm doing, go to the Printable craft shop website from Crafting4Good and download the appropriate easel card with drawers. There's quite a few to choose from, so there's plenty of selection. There should be something for everybody. I'm going to be doing it with the drawer underneath, so I need a box. You can do it with just the easel card and print off the envelope to pop it in, but I'm going to be doing it with the drawer underneath. So I've printed off what I need for the drawers, what I need for the sleeve for the box. That's the top part of the drawer, so there's the bottom, there's the top. There's the sleeve of the drawer. There's the card itself, and I have two topper sheets. So I'm going to start off by cutting out what I need. So I'm just going to get the trimmer out. And cut down all the sides to give me my base for my box. Now on the lid of the box you've got the white part that you can write on, or alternatively, if you wanted to, you could cut that part out and stick clear acetate in there, which will then allow you to have a window box so you can actually see the card inside. All I'm doing at the moment is just quickly cutting everything I need out. I'll cut everything with the trimmer first and then go back in with a pair of scissors for the corners for the boxes or anything else I need to cut by hand. So I'm simply cutting everything out. The instructions are all on the pages, so it tells you where to stick, what to stick to what. It tells you what side is what, but it also tells you where to glue as well on the boxes, which is lovely. So not only have you got the little section that you cut out of the corner to ensure your boxes are going to sit nice and flush, it tells you where to put the glue as well, which is an added bonus. So I've almost finished cutting what I need to cut out on the trimmer, and the rest I will cut out by hand. Also shows you on here where you need to score as well. So it gives you your dotted lines, which are your score lines. So it tells you where to do all of that as well. It gives you your stopper for the easel card section, which gives you a lovely verse on it. So I'm just trimming everything I need to trim. I'm going to leave that piece because I just need to cut it slightly before I can actually cut the verse off the end. Almost done. Fraction of white left on there. It's the sentiment I just cut from the other sheet. Just going to take the scissors now. All I need to do is just cut off the decoupage elements from the side. That's just going to allow me to cut the verse out nice and neat without damaging any of the topper elements. So that's everything cut out by trimmer. that needs cutting out if I just get rid of all the waste. A little bit more left to get rid of. So we have our little verse. We have the either panel that we can stick to the side of the box that you'll see at the back. We have our topper, which will sit on the back of the easel card, which I'm just taking the scissors and cutting round. Such an easy design to cut out. So we're just going all the way around. That's ready now and cut out, ready to add our decoupage elements to, which you would cut out as well. Now I am whizzing through this quite quickly because I have made a number of these already, so it's now becoming second nature with what I do. So I'm not overly fussed about reading the instructions anymore, just because I have read them numerous times when I've been doing this. Now the trick is when you're cutting out, move the paper, not your scissors. So if you can see, I'm actually twisting the paper as opposed to moving my scissors. Now I do prefer the squeezy scissors, just because I find it gives me a lot more control of where I'm cutting. There is no right or wrong with scissors, it's personal preference whether you use the long large scissors, whether you use smaller decoupage scissors, or whether like me you like the squeezy ones. The bonus with the squeezy ones, if you do have joint issues or finger or hand problems, I find they're a lot easier because you don't hold them like you would a normal pair of scissors, so there's less pressure on your joints when you're doing it. So I'm just finishing off, cutting off all the decoupage elements that will actually sit on the topper part of the card. So as you can see, all those will layer up. The little snowman to cut out next. After all, it is a Santa and snowman card, and you can't have one without the other. Now if you want to glitter these, it's up to you whether you glitter them after you've stuck it all together, or whether you glitter first before you stick, let to dry, and then stick together. Again, personal preference, there's no right or wrong with this, it's whatever you like to do. And whether you use a glue pen and loose glitter, or whether you use glitter glue and pop it on, both look equally nice. And as it is Christmas, glitter is a good thing. You can't go wrong with a bit of glitter. Also, if you find you haven't cut anything exactly, glitter hides a multitude of sins. So and there's my little Santa who's going to be sat on the roof. So I've got my base of my easel card. I've now got the sleeve of my box for my drawer. So this is going to be the base. So I'm just cutting the corners out so it shows me the white corner area, and I simply cut those off. And again, it shows me the white area for the tab, and all I'm going to do is cut those out like I'm cutting out a slice of pizza. Now the solid lines on here are your score lines, so you do need to make sure you do score those before we continue. This is the drawer itself, and what I'm going to do is just cut these corners out because it folds like a box. Now the bonus on these, if you can see, it does tell you exactly where to glue, and it does say on there glue. So if you're uncertain of where to glue, literally look at the box and it will tell you. It tells you which is flap A, B and C, which is what you need to stick it together, because you're sticking one to the other. So I'm just finishing off the box, and again cutting out all the areas highlighted by the two straight lines. So I'm cutting a corner out of the box. This will just allow the box to sit nice and straight. Final one. As you can see, it doesn't take long. Once you've done a few of these, you can whiz through it. The good thing as well about using a store like the Printable Craft Shop is because you're buying the download, you can then make these time and time again, year after year after year. So if you decide, oh, I really like that, but I've only got one and I'd really like to send it to more than one person, simply download and print. You then have as many as you would like. What I'm going to do now is just score all the sides, which will allow me then to stick the box together. So this is the box lid. I've scored all 4 sides. This is the part if you want to cut out and replace with acetate, it will give you a clear box lid. So you'll have a card that you can view through the window in the box. Now you'll notice with my scoreboard I have coloured it in. So on the centre line on this scoreboard, as it's a mini scoreboard, I've coloured in black, and every other line I've coloured, oops a daisy, bear with me, I've coloured in red on the whole centimetre side, and I've done the same for the inches. So every centimetre is coloured red, and then on the centre line of the scoreboard it's coloured black. This just allows me to put any card up here and I can visually see the line at the top and the bottom of my piece of card, so I know I'm not going off track. Now on the drawer you notice you do have an extra flap there. You do need that. What I'm actually going to do is put a pokey tool through the centre of there, just have a little dot on there so you can see where the centre is, and I'm going to put a brad in there. This will act as your drawer pull, so I'm just going to pop it through and open it out. So that will act as your pull for your drawer. A couple more things left to score. So this is the sleeve for the drawer to sit in, which is what your easel card will sit on top of. Again, just scoring that. Comes as 2 parts that you then stick together. And then finally I'm going to score the easel line. Don't score the straight line there, that just shows you the centre of your card when the card is made up to where you're going to put your stopper. So you're just scoring the dotted lines. So that's all the scoring done. I'm just going to put the folds in the card. Again, you can burnish these with your scoring tool, or if you're like me and have nails, you use your nails to burnish. That now sits like your easel card. Now on that you're actually going to see that panel, so the 3rd panel on the back you will see. So this is where you're going to put one of the little panels to just give it a better visual. So we're just going to pop that on there. I've used wet glue because it's just easier for me to manipulate the wet glue around. And that is then, so when you turn that down and it's folded, it doesn't look bare white. It's a nice colour. Also, on the base, you're going to do a stopper. So with your little verse, that's going to act as our stopper. We do need it to sit proud of the base of the card, so I am going to be popping some foam pads. These are 2mm foam pads. It just gives me a little height and allows it to sit flush of the card, so the base of the card then will be proud and the easel part of the card will sit flush against that and won't fall straight down. So it just gives a pretty stepper part of it. Again, line all of your corners up and that sits on there, so that will then allow that to stop on there. Now the front part is where we pop the main part. It's up to you whether you pop your glue on the white part on here or whether you pop it on your topper on there. Again, there's no rights or wrong, it's whatever works for you. I'm just going to line that up and press down with the glue. Now with this glue, if it does seep out, you simply wipe it away. The good thing with the Collal glue, which is what I'm using, the Collal all-purpose glue, you have 2 minutes wiggle time. So if it's not quite right, you can reposition and manipulate and move it around. If it does seep out, you actually just rub the glue off and it can rub away. So you end up with an absolutely perfect card with no staining if your glue is in the wrong place. For the decoupage, I'm actually going to pop that together once I've actually compiled the rest of the card. You have got that little bit spare just because I chose to use that one on there. Entirely up to you if you use that or save that for another card. So what I'm going to do now is pop the box together first of all to give that time to dry. I do have some little pegs, and what those will do is hold it in place. So I'm just going to score and fold the lines that I've scored. So I'm just going to burnish them and fold the tabs in. I am doing this quite quickly. All we're going to do then is put glue where it says. So on the corners of the box it says glue. It's up to you whether you use wet glue, whether you use tape, entirely your choice. I prefer wet glue just because it gives me that little bit of time to manipulate it. If it's not quite in the right place, I can just manipulate it until it is in the right place. I have glued the 2 corners at once. Because the glue gives me 2 minutes, I have got time to make sure it's lined up and in place before the glue starts to set. So there's 2 corners done there, and again glue the other corners, line up the edges of the box and press together, and then I'm simply just using mini pegs to hold it together. Again, I've glued 2 corners in one go. This will just allow me time to make sure it's lined up and push it together. We then pop that aside to dry. And again, we're going to do the lid. Now what you'll notice on the lid, you have actually got 2 little semicircles in the side of the lid. So I don't know if you can see that little semicircle there. That is to allow you to get your fingers into the lid to lift it once it's on the base. So just gently cut those out. It's best to do this before you stick it, otherwise it's quite hard to follow the lines when you stick. If you've got a circle punch, you can just use the top part of that for ease to allow you to pop out that circle part. And all it does, it just gives you a point for your fingers to get in to lift the lid off. Now again, I'm gluing 2 sides at once. I press together and then I just hold it together with these mini pegs until it dries. It only takes a couple of minutes to dry. It just ensures it doesn't move, because I don't want to sit here for 2 minutes holding each corner until they're dry. So little pegs do that for me. Okay, 3rd corner, and you can see how quickly this works. They do go together extremely easily. It's a lovely card to do, and because it's actually coming in a box itself, it looks something spectacular. Okay, so that's the lid of my box done, so I'm going to pop that aside to dry. Now this is my drawer, so we've already popped the brad in, which is going to act as our drawer pull, so we can open the drawer. I'm then going to fold all of the sides again. Now remember, that one has a double fold because that top will sit over the brad. I'm going to fold the corners in again, and again it says where to glue, so there's no guesswork. You can see exactly where you need to glue. Now I tend to do the opposite end to the opening end first, just because I find once I've got that part in, it's easier for me to do that last little bit as the front of the drawer. Just because it's a little bit of a thicker fold, I tend to find I prefer that to do that second. Again, if you do that first, there's no right or wrong with it. As long as you do the box, it works. So as you can see, done this quite quickly. Now with this one, you're actually going to glue the tabs, as you would do, but I'm also going to put glue on the lid of those double tabs there. So what will happen is now, those side pieces will go in as you would do for your normal one, and the top folds down. So you pop your corners in as you would do normally, and you fold the second fold over the top. So it just tucks it in and makes it nice and secure. Now what I am going to do with this, just because it's a larger flat, I'm going to put quite a few pegs on here just to hold it in place to make sure it doesn't move. Almost done. And last peg going on now. So that's the drawer section done. We're now going to do the sleeve for the drawer to sit in. So if you think of it like a matchbox, you need to be able to slide your drawer in and out. So again, I'm just folding everything that needs to be folded, which I've already scored. Now I'm going to put glue on the little tabs on this one. So you'll find one end has tabs and the other doesn't. So again, line that up, and a couple of pegs on the end of the tabs so it sits in place. You do want this nice and dry before you start to put it together. So with this now, what you need to do is, once that end's dry, the back flap sits inside there and these sit inside. So it slides inside. Then you glue the sides in place and the back in place. Once you've glued all that together, which I'll do once it's dry, you end up with a sleeve for your drawer to sit in. And your finished drawer with your brad sits inside that sleeve. Now your easel card sits on top of that section. So the card we've just made up, we're actually going to glue on top of that box. So again, it's up to you, foam pads, glue, tape, whatever you prefer. I'm happy for this to sit reasonably flat, just because I'm going to have the height from the easel. So all I'm going to do is line that up. Again, because I'm using a wet glue, I do have wiggle time. So I'm just going to pop that flat, and I'm just going to make sure visually all of my edges line up perfectly. I'm going to take the drawer out just so I can give it a nice press down, just so it's nice and stuck for me. And then when I'm happy with that, put the drawer back inside, make sure everything's lined up. So we now have our easel card with drawer. That fits some lovely chocolates in there as a nice surprise, or little presents for a boy or a girl, depending on what you're sending to who. Now we've had the box made up already, so the box then sits nice and flush, and you have your little side pieces to lift it up from, and your card will then sit inside the box quite nicely. What we're going to do before we pop it in the box, however, is just layer up the decoupage. So for this I am using glue gel, so Adele glue gel. You can, if you choose to, use foam pads. I just find it's a little bit easier just to use the gel glue. What I'm going to do is just shape it a little bit in my hands and just put little blobs of glue to raise it up a fraction. all over. Now I do like to be generous, and I do like to make sure there is plenty of glue on there. And all I'm going to do is pop that on and make sure it is fully lined up. So we're happy with that. There we go. Now we have the little tree, so I'm just going to shape that around my finger a little bit, just so it curves a little bit, and then put some glue gel on there, and again pop that into position. Now if you find it's a little bit fiddly, you can always use tweezers. I do like to shape all the decoupage before I pop it down, just because it gives it a nice lifelike figure. Okay, I'm just going to pop that one on. What I would then do is add loads of glitter to this card. So that is our finished card with all of the decoupage on. I would leave it flat just for about 10-15 minutes just to let the glue dry fully. So I'd like my gel glue just to dry completely before I stand it upright. But there is the finished card with the drawer underneath, which you can put some nice little treats in there. It will then sit completely flat to go in your box to give as a nice little gift for Christmas. There is your finished project with your beautiful easel card. If you are interested in making this, please go to the Printable Crafts shop from Crafting4Good, and you can download their Santa and Snowman, which is this one, or a variety of others, and it's called the Christmas Easel Card with Drawer. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.